Today on Morning Crankers, scientists built a magnetic lantern that moves like it's alive. Astronomers are tracking a mysterious interstellar object heading toward the sun. Well, it could be a rock. It could be an overachieving alien probe. The Sandy Hook sea serpent is back in the group chat. Texas Tech has placed tortillas on the no-fly list. And one school managed to schedule drag lessons for 8-year-olds and then discovered policy is a real thing. D.C. says the shutdown will end soon, which is adorable, but, And a lion exited a moving truck via roof hatch like it just discovered convertibles. If you were hoping for normal, you opened the wrong app. Let's crank. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Morning Crankers, the show where we take the world as it is, poke it with a stick, and calmly report back. No screaming. No panic, just a reminder that reality is freelance now. Now here's your menu. Well, the Living Light, a magnet-driven lantern that folds, crawls, and grabs like origami that went to grad school, pretty much. The Sunbound Visitor. Well, we're talking about these today. It's an interstellar object on a trajectory that says hello in a tone scientists call The Sandy Hook sea serpent. Historic coastal sightings are resurfacing because folklore wants to work overtime. Texas Tech bans tortilla tossing, and somehow that's still not in the top 5 of insane fan traditions. Yay, that's what we're doing today. Drag lessons for 8-year-olds, followed by the radical idea that schools should have policies. Who would have thought? Shutdown watch. D.C. says soon. Soon. I'll translate that for you. A lion through the roof, a transport hatch becomes safari mode and in real time. And we're going to keep it clean, sharp, and quietly savage. So let's begin. Science that moves when you're not looking. Well, the magnetic lantern that moves like it's alive. You know what? I thought that this story was pretty awesome. I just thought it was cool. There's so many advances that are going on today, okay, in science all over. And we very rarely get to hear about them because we're always hearing about the other stuff, the stuff we don't want to hear about. You know what I mean? As Morning Crankers, there's only so much crap we can deal with. We'd like to get back to some normalcy, if you know what I'm saying. And if you haven't been able to tell, a company sent me this microphone. They like my voice. They say, you got a voice of Hans. And I was like, you're right, I do. So, you know what? I'm going to try it out. We're going to see. It's based off a U-47 FET. If that means anything to you out there, slurping your coffee, and whatever else, it is what it is. But researchers built a tiny lantern-shaped structure, kind of like picture Chinese lantern origami, that self-folds and reconfigures under a magnetic field. Okay, it can gently grip soft things like fish, okay, without hurting them, open and close underwater valves, and maneuver through spaces that I'm pretty sure were never meant for lamps, okay? It is what it is. Here's the deadpan translation. It's a light that gaslights back. Cool? You know what I'm saying? Practical use as well. According to the developers, microsurgery, environmental monitoring, delicate rescue tasks, also excellent for retrieving the one Lego that assaulted your foot last night. They demoed a version that crawls on a surface like a polite insect. Okay, except when you say, ew, it keeps working because it didn't ask for your feelings. You know how we feel about feelings here. You know what I mean? Well, here's some observations. Okay, one, if your lamp can walk, well, that means that your cat is unemployed, okay? Two, this is how every single sci-fi movie starts, okay? We taught it to help. And then it starts helping without you asking. A little scary, you know what I mean? And for once, the phrase lights on, nobody home could be a threat assessment. You know what I'm saying? But truly, we support anything that fixes things gently. We also keep a respectful distance, from anything shaped like a decor that forgets that it's freaking decor. Okay, this paper describes the material as responsive and adaptive. I describe anything that moves without permission as a problem. You know what? I didn't know that it was that way until it started following me, that type of thing.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
They tested it underwater. Okay, it worked perfectly because apparently we need to teach our lamps how to swim now. Does that make any sense? Okay. The magnet controls the folding patterns remotely, which means somewhere a researcher is holding a controller saying left, fold, grab, right to a freaking lamp. That person has seen things, and that person no longer fears IKEA instructions. You know what I mean? Now, next applications. Well, drug delivery inside the body, environmental cleanup in tight spaces. Underwater, deep sea exploration. And here's the thing. They're all noble. All of them. All reasonable. All one firmware update away from why is this lamp downloading updates of me at 3 a.m.? You know what I mean? So if you own smart lights, you've already accepted that your house listens to you. Now we're just adding the occasional, if it's listening to you, it might as well relocate so it can get hi-fi sound. Progress can be beautiful. Progress is also why I'm never saying Alexa near anything with legs. You hear me? So, it is what it is. Yeah, there goes Alexa. Okay. Alexa off. Yeah, everybody knows the struggle, Then we had this interstellar thing, this object headed towards the sun. Kind of weird. A lot of people, look at these things and they're like, I don't know. It sounds kind of sci-fi for me. Well, literally they're saying there's aliens and there's new life on Mars, and they found new rocks that don't need light to, give off oxygen. So we're moving away from our fundamental understanding of physics, and we're getting closer to just saying, okay, yeah, there's aliens. There's aliens. Now there's a bunch of people saying there's aliens under the water. You guys have all heard it. Well, astronomers are tracking a new interstellar object on a path towards the sun. Could be a comet, could be an asteroid. The internet is calling it an alien probe because the internet is the world's biggest open mic night. This isn't the first interstellar visitor. We've had Umawama, the cigar-shaped object that accelerated weirdly and left scientists writing papers that basically said, we don't know in academic language. We've had Borisov, a comet that behaved like a comet, which was almost disappointing at this point. And now we have this one, trajectory, solar intercept, velocity. Okay, well, very concerning, but not rude. Composition, well, completely unknown, which science speaks for and says we're going to need a bigger spreadsheet. All right, because that's what it means. Because do they really know? Okay, how many of these comments do they really know what it is. I mean, they've got good guesses, maybe some hypotheses, but did they really know? Well, that one's made out of graphite and frozen H2O, and we know that because why? Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Well, now, they just expect us to believe anything. But if it's a comet, we'll get spectroscopy and light curve drama, if you know what I mean. If it's something else, we'll get a press conference featuring something like the word anomaly, repeated with confidence of somebody who doesn't want to lose their funding. I mean, you guys know what I'm saying without saying. Some context. Interstellar means it came from outside our solar system, okay? These things are extremely rare until somebody needs funding, okay? The space is enormous and mostly empty, so anything deciding to drop by our neighborhood either literally has a terrible navigation or very excellent aim or, completely random, okay? There's a few theories about this. Theory 1, it's a comet, ice, rock, dust, who knows. Came to visit the sun because the stars are warm and comets have needs. Theory 2, it's an asteroid, rocky but silent. Has seen some things in the void and doesn't want to talk about it. I mean, if they had feelings, right? Theory 3, it's a probe sent by a civilization that looked at Earth's radio leakage and thought, someone should check on them because, yeah. Well, if aliens did send it, okay, I have notes. So, big one. Dear visitors, please bring 3 pothole repair group text treaties. And the mute for leaf blowers. If you can solve 2 out of 3, we'll name a planet after you. If you solve all 3, you can have the planet. Scientists will track this for months, and I'm sure we're going to get doomsday updates, if you know what I mean. There's going to be graphs, there'll be press releases with phrases like the ongoing analysis and consistent natural phenomenon. Yeah, which are both true, but the least funny way to describe any space mystery. And the object will either disintegrate near the sun or it won't. Okay, and if it doesn't, we'll recalibrate what normal means while pretending we always knew that was possible, right? Okay, we'll continue to monitor the sunbound bullet. In the meantime, if you see a rock waving, wave back. Then step aside and lock your senses of wonder where the HOA can't ban it. Space is patient, space is vast, and space occasionally throws things at us to remind us that we're not the main character in the galaxy. You know what I mean? So, yeah. On Morning Crankers, we like to talk about things that recur through history, especially cool things, fun things, things that can kind of wake you up in the morning that you want to think about. How about this? How about the Sandy Hook sea serpent? Okay, this is in New Jersey. It's kind of historic. There's been sightings. Okay, and guess what? We talk about these kind of things. Okay, Sandy Hook, New Jersey, late 1800s. The life-saving service, precursor to the Coast Guard, reported, okay, this is what today is the Coast Guard, reported giant sea creature sightings. Okay, this is not just modern gossip. These are old documented logs. Uniform staffed, a coastline that knows the difference between wave foam and what just looked back. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, these accounts back then described something very long, serpentine, and this thing was moving with purpose. Okay, this was just not 1, 2, 3. We're talking multiple witnesses, different days, different months, same conclusion about whether to file it under marine life or reason to reconsider the ocean. Okay, these sea serpents are the LinkedIn of folklore. Okay, they never retire. They never endorse skills like being extremely long or, ruining picnics, that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But I want to talk about the possibilities of this because this has been an ongoing thing. People are seeing a sea creature in Sandy Hook, New Jersey, and you just got to kind of like, Well, possibility one, it could be an oarfish. Okay, the anxiety noodle of the sea. Long, flat, shiny, lives very, very deep. Occasionally surfaces when sick or disoriented, terrifying anyone nearby who thought the ocean was safe and came with instructions. Okay, here's the thing. Oarfish can reach 30 feet long. All right, that's undulate. They're silver. Okay, they look like someone's fever dream got lost on a way to a sushi menu. So it could be that. Possibility two, it was a whale. Whales are chill, but they are huge. Okay, people panic when the horizon gets muscles. You know what I mean? A humpback surfacing at odd angles could look kind of serpentine, maybe, if you're standing on a duck that suddenly feels very short. You know what I mean? Also, whale watching back then, was it a sport? I don't know. Eye contact is mutual, folks, but dignity is not. It is what it is. It could have been a basking shark. Okay, second largest fish in the sea. Slow, gentle, mouth perpetually open like it's about to ask a question, but, they forgot mid-thought. That's what I want to know from you. What do you think it was? Okay? Now, these basking sharks, when they swim at the surface, the dorsal fin can create an illusion of humps. Add some distance, add some waves, and add the fact that human brains love simple patterns. And maybe you've got a sea serpent. Maybe. Possibility four, it wasn't interested in being recognized, in which case, please, folks, just respect the boundary. Now, do I believe in sea serpents? Well, I believe in witnesses who know water, and I believe in human eyes that don't want to be the person on the dock explaining why lunch came with a side of dread. All right? The ocean covers 71% of our planet, folks. We've explored about 5% of it. The rest is like subscriber-only content, and we don't even have a password. You know what I mean? Every few years, someone discovers a new species in the deep. Sometimes something great, something that's, giving off bioluminescence, something with too many legs, something that makes scientists say, in 12 different languages and send out 12 different reports. So could there be something large, something rare, and uninterested in taxonomy swimming in New Jersey? Well, sure. Could also be mistaken identity, optical effects, the brain's love of the narrative. Also, all these things, sure. The truth lives somewhere, folks, between we know everything and we know nothing. Most people don't want to admit that, but that is the truth. So that's about the most honest place science has ever built a house, if you know what I'm saying. So if you go to Sandy Hook, New Jersey, bring sunscreen, bring a little bit of humility, and for God's sakes, a camera that doesn't tragically glitch at the moment everything gets interesting. Okay, like the Bigfoot videos. And if something surfaces, take a photo, scream, after. The internet is going to forgive blurry, but if you take video, don't scream then, because it never forgives cowardice. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think those are so intriguing, those stories about all these things that, happen. We got Old Man in the Woods. We got the Momo Monster. We've got, the Sasquatch. We've got Dogman. We've got, the devil demon thing up there in the East Coast. We've got so many of these things that have been talked about for thousands of years. I'm talking about Native Americans talking about them. But, the people of 2025 are so smart, we know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, except we can't even, half of the country can't even say what a woman is. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Okay? Now, let's get into some important stuff. Okay, how about sports, snacks, and sanity? Texas Tech is banning tortilla tossing. Do you think that's okay? This has been a fan tradition to do this. All right, it is what it is. Texas Tech has banned fans from throwing tortillas onto the field. Though administrators cited penalties, cleanup, and the fact that offensive drives should not require a Zamboni made of sour cream. The tradition started in the 90s. Someone brought tortillas, someone threw them, and the fans in chaos loved it. Now it's being banned, which means it's either going to stop immediately or intensify until the FAA gets involved. But there's the thing. Tortillas aren't even in the top 6 in national sports madness. So I wanted to tell you kind of rapid fire, like a tradition tour. Okay, delivered calmly because apparently, this is all normal. Okay, so tortilla tossing at Texas Tech is done. Some people don't even think that's a big deal. How about this? How about the Florida Panthers rat throwing? Okay, fans once filled the ice with plastic rats after goals, honoring a player who was killed a real rat in the locker room with a stick before the game. The team went on a winning streak. Causation and correlation was assumed. Rubber rodents were deployed, and if symbolism had a smell, it would be of synthetic pest and victory. The NHL eventually banned it because the cleanup crews developed trauma and the ice resurfacing took longer than intermission. Well, I didn't know that throwing rats was a thing. I hope you did. Texas A&M, the midnight yell. Tens of thousands of people gather in a stadium at midnight before game day. Choreographed screaming, synchronized chants. Okay, this sounds like a really bad Billie Eilish concert. The opponent is not present. It's a ghost pep rally powered by nostalgia and, it would have to be throat lozenges. They practice yells. There are no hand signals. There is a cannon, all at midnight. If you've never seen 30,000 people yelling at nothing in unison, you've never seen true faith. Well, it is A&M, right? There's something there. Okay, how about this? The Detroit Red Wings octopus toss. Okay, and I'm just going to say this now. There's something about animals getting tossed in professional sports. It's got to be a thing. So maybe tortillas aren't that bad. Okay, raw octopus on the ice. 8 tentacles. 8 playoff wins needed back in the original 6 era, okay? The math is old, I get it, but the tradition is older. And the smell is eternal. Throwing it requires timing, courage, and a willingness to be escorted out by security while the arena slow claps for everybody. Yeah, well, modern teams have asked fans to stop. Fans have nodded thoughtfully and smuggled in more octopi. I don't know. I would love for you to tell me what you think about this. morningcrankers@gmail.com. That's morningcrankers@gmail.com. I'm going to write a story about this and, put it on morningcrankers.com. That's the website. Go check them out. I'd appreciate it. Kind of fun, kind of weird. I don't know. Throwing octopuses on the ice. Is it cruel? Is it not cruel? Does tradition override cruelty? All those things. I just want to know. Cleveland Browns. Okay, thank God they have tradition because they don't have wins. Okay, fans dress as dogs. They bark at referees. They wear bone-shaped hats. And there's a section of the stadium with chain link fencing because at some point, someone decided containment was reasonable. Everyone proceeds like this is brunch. Well, do we owe the Cleveland Browns a round of applause for the reason that we have litter boxes in schools around the United States? I'm just saying. Could it be? Could it be? Well, we're going to move on. We're going to move on from the lowly Cleveland Browns And let's go to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, where picking up trash is key. After every home game, kids flood the field to pick up trash. It's smart. It's called tradition. It's also called unpaid labor in adorable team colors. And it's beloved by fans. It's questioned by no one with a whistle. And they don't even have to have liability waivers. I just want you to think about that for a second. So Nebraska has gotten smart about tradition, and they have to pay less for people to pick up garbage. The field gets cleaned, the kids get memories, and OSHA kind of just looks the other way. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Nebraska, keep it going. I like it. I like what you're doing. Okay? It's Morning Crankers approved. Now this, Wisconsin Badgers jump around. Between the third and fourth quarter, 80,000 people jump into unison of House of Pain, jump around, jump around. The whole frickin' stadium shakes. Structural engineers have measured it. Seismographics show that a seismograph actually has recorded it. I think that's pretty cool. It's not even a tradition. It's like a geological event with a playlist. Except this year. Yeah, Mr. Trash. Not very good, okay? Lost all identity. But the good thing is when you have tradition, you can kind of bring some of that back. So, Coach Trask, maybe, just maybe you should jump around, jump, and get the hell off of our team and quit being coach, okay? You know what I'm saying? I have that feeling, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So, in America, does anybody else have a problem with the lack of policies or the idiots that are running our school systems? Like, there are really good teachers. There are some really good staff at some of our public schools. But these people make it so hard to trust people and say, that teacher's doing a really good job. Does anybody else feel that way? Okay, drag lessons for 8-year-olds. Okay, parents, they're asking for policy. Okay, they don't want the vibes, man. And I don't even know if those people talk that way. Drag lessons. I know drag has kind of like transcended boundaries, so it's not like drag queens are not just trans. They're not just LGBTQ. They're not straight. They're all of the above, the drag lessons. But my thing is why are they teaching drag in school at all? A school district offered a drag-themed expression activity for young kids. Some parents, the crazy delusional ones, supported it. Others asked for an unfamiliar concept to them, and it was called policy. Well, here's the thing. Who approves content? In which grades? Okay, what standards are you going to be implemented? Where's the permission slip? And for some reason, that didn't come from Neverland, folks. Okay, let's be clear about this. This isn't about drag. This is about process. Okay, just regular facts. Schools already manage, age-appropriate content for everything from sex ed to dissection day. You remember little frogs and stuff? There's literally frameworks that already exist, and for some reason, they do not apply universally. Here's another fact. We had a good intention. Is not a policy document. It's a feeling. Okay, feelings are great for music, and feelings are great for birthday cards. Feelings are really bad for institutional learning decision making. All right? It's a fact. Fact 3, parental consent is not a radical idea. All right? Having control of what your kids learn, especially about sensitive topics like drag, well, it's kind of the foundation of trust that was built between schools and families. You see, when they skip it, you don't build bridges, you start building resentments, and you start building resentment with live streams. that usually doesn't work out too well for the schools. You know what I mean? Now, here's what should happen. Step one, curriculum committee reviews proposed content, right? Okay. An elected curriculum committee. Step two, age appropriateness is assessed using standards that already exist. You see how that works? Step three, parents will be notified. There should be an opt-in or opt-out options that are provided to the people in charge of the children. You get that? I mean, am I fringe here? Am I just being so radicalized that, we just don't know what's going on? Well, I do, okay? I got lots and lots and lots of kids, and I have dealt with these schools ad nauseum about things like this. But you know what I'm saying. Now, activity happens or it doesn't happen, and based on consensus and policy, that's what should happen, not whoever had the microphone that frickin' week. Okay? Now, this applies to everything. Drag ball, okay? Drag dodgeball. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Dissecting anything that has eyeballs. How about that? Can we put that in there? You see, the issue isn't necessarily just about topic. The issue is that the process that skipped leg day and thought vibes would carry the weight instead of, working out your legs, working out your legs. Yeah, well, that's what happened in the brains of these morons that are running some of our schools. Okay, some parents are fine with it, and holla frickin' hallelujah. Be happy with it, because it is what it is. But some parents like me aren't. Okay, and I deserve clarity before an event that I might object to. Okay, it's not a thing that you can just release a press release after and say, oh, well, sorry, we're going to have to ask for forgiveness now because we didn't ask for permission. Somebody needs to sue the living heck out of these schools. You know what I'm saying? So, now to be very clear, I think teachers, a lot of them are overworked. I think some of them are underpaid. And managing, I'm talking about the teachers, more roles than a Swiss Army knife. Okay? That was partly done by the committees that I'm talking about. But my whole thing is not about blaming educators. This is about asking administrators to do the boring work, the policy work, the communication and transparency before they get to do the exciting work. I know there's a lot of administrators out there that want to dress and drag and dance in front of our kids and say kumbaya and play the thing and whatever. Not that thing. But I encourage two wild ideas. Okay? Transparency before press releases. That'd be a good one. And this one should be mandatory parental consent before surprises. If a school wants to teach expression and resilience, creativity, or underwater frickin' basket weaving, hallelujah, great. Write the plan, share the plan, let parents read the plan without needing a frickin' FOIA request and a private investigator. You see what I'm saying? Because kids, our children, don't need culture wars. They need reading. They need safety. They need teachers who answer emails with something other than, my mailbox is full and cannot respond. Adults with microphones should remember, children are not your audience. Well, they're in your care. They're your responsibility. Treat them frickin' accordingly. Or you're going to create a bunch of kids that are going to live by a van down by the river. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, are you guys sick of the government shutdown? Because, the government's saying that the shutdown is going to likely end soon. In Washington, what does soon mean? Like as soon as the taxes go down? As soon as we quit watching buffoons act like children on a playground? I mean, is that when soon is? Because if that's the case, we're going to be waiting here forever. I mean, most of the country is remaining calm, although there's starting to be an uproar about, well, whose fault is it? And I say it's the Schumer shutdown because I actually read behind the programmed nonsense that they put in front of us. I actually read behind that and see what it's actually about. Well, I think everybody is kind of annoyed. Okay, it's like they give us a napkin with numbers on it and they say, this is what it is. And then you hear them talk about this culture war that nobody's ever going to win because there is no definitive goal line. How about we have some productive discussions? You see what I mean? Like, how about you have some productive discussions where screaming's not involved or nobody flips a table or something like that? How about one side, the side that hates America, actually trying to be polite, trying to show the glass is half full, moving forward with something that they want to do? You know what I'm talking about. Here's the thing. If your family budget required 11 votes and a prayer circle, you would not be allowed near money. Okay, Congress remains the only place where you can fall forward into lunch. Because, here's what has happened during the shutdown. Some national parks were closed. Tourists felt bad. Okay, federal employees are working and, some without pay. Math stops mathing, if you know what I mean. If it even math to begin with at the federal level. Contractors get furloughed. Invoices and when you get paid from previous invoices kind of become theoretical. The press asks when it's going to end. Spokespeople, use the word hopeful. Okay, hopeful is not a timeline. Hopeful, there's nothing scientific about being hopeful. It's emotional, okay? Now, meanwhile, the issues that cause the shutdown, spending priorities, is money being spent on American citizens or is it going somewhere else? Whose district is going to get the new bridge? Well, those things remain unresolved because revolving them would actually require admitting that somebody else has a point, and that's just not how we do business in the land of the free and the home of the filibuster. You see what I'm saying? Well, eventually, someone's going to blink. A continuing resolution is going to get passed. The government will reopen. Everybody's going to declare victory in their own way, but the same BS is going to happen and nothing structural changes. We do this every few years. It's kind of like a subscription service, except instead of entertainment, you're getting anxiety and you're going to get a delayed tax refund. And, somebody that works for the government that unfortunately had to go to work for free is going to wonder if they're going to get a paycheck. American citizens are still paying too much for their medical. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you're waiting in a federal service, that's a passport, tax return, some sort of regulatory approval, add 2 to 6 weeks on your estimate, probably a few more dollars, and then, add 2 more because optimism is a mistake. Okay? DC says soon. And I say, I'll believe it when I see it. And when I see it, I'll wait for the next shutdown because this is a loop, not a line. But listen to old Hans on Morning Crankers. Stay patient, stay skeptical, and if you work for the federal government, I'm sorry, American people, you deserve better than all of this. So, Now, there is some hope that sometimes there's this shining glimmer where you can put yourself in somebody else's situation. That's why I want to talk about a lion that escaped through a roof hatch of a transport truck. Yes, literally. So did you ever feel like a trapped animal? Like you're doing all the right things, but you just can't get out. You're like stuck in this box in your own prison cell. You know what I mean? Well, a lion escaped a moving transport truck through a roof hatch and took the kind of convertible joyride that you only see in music videos or nightmares. Authorities say they're reviewing transport protocols. The lion has been described as fluffy but persuasive. Here's what we know. The truck was moving. The hatch was accessible. The lion was motivated, and gravity was optional. No one has been hurt, which is the only reason this story is funny and not some sort of true crime documentary. Well, I have a couple thoughts. One, if your vehicle has a sunroof, maybe a wild predator might be able to find it. Now, that's not a warning. All right, folks, that's taxonomy. All right? And two, the driver's insurance agent is now on sabbatical until their soul reboots. I mean, it is what it is. Well, let's talk about what this means for transport safety. Lesson 1. Secure all latches. Lions are curious. Latches are mere suggestions to them. Lesson 2. If your cargo can open doors, your cargo is literally in management now. Lesson 3. Roof access should require opposable thumbs, a password, maybe even a signed waiver when dealing with something this critical. The transport company released a statement saying that they're committed to the highest standards of animal care and safety, which literally is kind of like a government saying because it's corporate for, man, we didn't think the cat would do parkour. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you passed that truck on the highway and thought, that cloud looks angry and you're half right, well, yeah. That lion was recaptured safely. No injuries, no drama, just a brief reminder that nature is patient. It's powerful and really good at finding exits. Moving forward, I suggest childproof locks for apex predators. Just an idea. A checklist that includes, did we ask the lion if it agrees with the route? And maybe, just maybe, a second person whose entire job is to stare at the roof and say, nope, if anything moves. You see, animals are not cargo, especially lions. They're passengers with teeth. Maybe we should treat them accordingly. You know what? Maybe the government can take a little learning from the escaped lion. Now, I just want to give you a quick fire roundup of the strangeness that we've discussed today, because it's kind of weird, if you know what I'm saying, because there's a magic lantern that can gently grip live fish. Aquariums call it innovation, and fish call it kidnapping, but at least it's polite. Interstellar visitor. If it sings at sunrise, we'll call it a comet. If it starts texting, well, then all of us are going to be moving. The sea serpent lore. Old logs, serious people. Whenever cosigns gossip, I start to listen. Tortilla bans. Okay, security is going to confiscate all flatbread. Expect a rise in tactical pitas. Drag lessons. Well, schools discover policies even exist. Parents are now going to rediscover emails. The shutdown. Soon is not a vibe and it's not a date. Soon means nothing. And then the lion sunroof. The phrase out the top should never include teeth. Okay, so today we've learned light can crawl. Space occasionally throws pebbles at our star. Old sea stories, and they really do hold water. Sports fans need chaperones. Schools should file a plan before the parade. DC speaks fluent Vaganese, and lions will always choose a convertible package. This has been Morning Crankers. I'm Hans. Thank you for being here. Remember, share this episode with somebody who needs to laugh with a little bit of coffee in the morning and hear a little bit of news. I'll be here next week. Same voice, same uncooperative universe. Stay caffeinated, stay curious, and stay impossible to panic.